A perfect outcome to all things is assured. Yeah, perfect outcome to all things is assured. Yeah, I'm getting stronger every day because my faith leads the way. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. In every situation, there's a blessing somewhere. Come gather, brothers and sisters, and we'll see that it is there. Ooh, I need you, you need me. Yes, you do. And that's how our happiness is guaranteed. Take it, boys.
And now, in all your doings, be you blessed. Through you is ushered in a world unseen, unheard, yet truly there. Holy are you, and in your light, the world reflects your holiness. For you are not alone and friendless. I give thanks for you and join your efforts on behalf of God, knowing that they are on my behalf as well, and for all those who walk to God with us.
Sing it with me.
Walk to God now.
A perfect outcome to all things is assured. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. I'm getting stronger every day because my faith leads the way. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. A perfect outcome to all things, yeah, is assured.
Woo! Doggy!
It's always a wee doggy. We got to get the wee dog. How are my wee doggies here? How's this Sunday working for everybody?
It's going great. What a wonderful day. What a wonderful hominy. Thank God for Reverend Gloria. Wow. And you know what? As we were sitting here throughout the day, you know, listening to people share.
The whole day is good, by the way, y'all.
Oh my God, yes. If you haven't spent the whole Sunday in the sanctuary, oh my goodness, it's so refreshing and loving, and just gives a place for people to be themselves. And I was so moved this afternoon when Audrey was sharing, and just, you know,
Oh, I know. We could all recognize our stories in there a little bit. There's pieces of everybody in there, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, this is an incredible place to come and know that you're safe, to be
To
who
all
you
those who walk together, you know, so knowing that we're all, you know,
walking
awakening together. We're going to sing a little bit about awakening together.
We are
today.
Yeah.
But I know you're a good course student. Right. I know everybody is doing the lessons every day. I am sure of it.
It is what we love to do. So he's just being silly because not everybody has the same practice.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Everybody has our practice. Everybody's doing exactly what we're doing all the time, right?
But we happen to be in a review.
I know, which is fun.
Well, I think it was last week. I want to just mention that, you know, we're so glad to be back because we missed y'all.
Oh, yeah, we're
missed
back.
y'all last week. And I think it was last Sunday that was lesson 50. I'm pretty sure it was. And we love the first 50 lessons here in the workbook. And that song, which I need to sing at some point, that lesson 50, I am sustained by the love of God, is absolutely amazing. Yeah. And I have, yes, I did write a song. Actually, maybe I should go get my thing. But today, so after lesson 50, we go into reviews, and they take...
Well, you do it all over again, but she groups them together.
Yeah, so she groups a bunch of ideas together. And today...
she grouped lessons 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35 together. Okay.
Yeah, which starts
So,
with one of my favorite lessons. I am not the victim of the world I see.
We
I
always
am
say
not
the
victim.
No, we're still on that. I am not the victim of the world I see. Go ahead.
I mean, to me, that makes it really personal. I am not the victim of the world I see.
It begins to pull apart. It's like who's looking, who's seeing, whose rules are we obeying? What kind of thing are we? What's being created? What are we experiencing, and what's being created? We're starting to understand the difference when she's pulling this apart for us. I'm not the victim of the world I see. I'm not the object, the sole object of this.
And you know
It's
what she
pulling it
says
apart.
in this description of this particular lesson?
Lesson 31.
She says, excuse me, the prison door is open. I can leave simply by walking out.
And we're going to talk today in the lessons. We're going to introduce the character of the commander today. So stick around to half the hour. We're going to talk about introduce the character of the commander today. So I'm looking forward to that. So 31 is I'm not the victim of the world I see. 32 is
I have invented the world I see.
See,
so how can I be the victim if I have invented it?
Yeah, well, I'm the victim because I invented it.
Well, but you could do it either way. You could say, I am the victim because I invented it, or how can I be the victim because I invented it?
I'm doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it depends on your...
No, and both are true. That's why it's non-dual. So I have invented, and then the next, 32 is...
Well, 32 is I have invented the world I see. 33 is there is another way of looking at the world.
There's a crack in the door, y'all.
Yeah, which is followed by number 34. I could see peace instead of this. Yeah, so
wow. And the commander again, the idea of who's deciding the world that you're going to build. Whose world do you want to use your creative energy in creating? What world do you want to experience? What world do you say is true? What world do you want to teach? I mean, all of these things are way of answering those questions. There's a way of answering who's she talking about. There is another world, way of looking at the world. Because I'm looking at the world in ways that cause me to suffer, I could see peace instead of this. What is this if I could see peace instead of it? Me getting it horribly wrong, right? Not understanding what's going on. I don't know what anything is for. All of this. Me just getting it wrong about the way the world works, about what reality is. I could see peace instead
of seeing it
right. If I'm
wrong.
Yeah, okay. I'm upset, so I'm seeing it incorrectly. So my mind is a part of God's. It was like, I could.
The next lesson, the very last one she ends this review with is, "My mind is a part of God's. I am very holy."
And the result is what makes me suffer. What the choices I'm making that contribute to my suffering. I could make a choice that contributed. I have the ability. Also, a natural ability to choose the choices that actually fulfill my purpose as the presence of love on earth. So, I mean, that's also available. But I'm going to decide, where I'm going to focus my creative energy, my creative attention. I'm going to decide.
I am not the victim of the world I see.
Unless I want to be.
Right, unless I want to be. And that's possible too. Hi, Jacqueline.
Yay.
Hi, Connie.
Hi. I'm not a victim of the world I see.
I'm not the victim.
The victim of the world I see.
I like to make that distinction because it makes it. I don't know. It makes it more personal.
And to give people a choice to be a victim, I think, is important.
Well, yeah, I certainly have played that one out many a time. But okay, let's see. Now I want to sing I want to share a sing along. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's good to have everybody in the room. It's so nice to be here.
I know
again.
we missed
Sorry
y'all from last week.
I know
that was the real flavor of our Wednesday class. So if you're interested in that Wednesday class thing, it's fun.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
We would go into some really in-depth stuff there,
which is what we shared with you last week. So if you
that was half the class.
If you're not on Facebook, you might not have seen my pictures. But what we were doing last week at this time was a drag queen story hour.
Oh!
At the Winter is a Drag Ball.
Yeah, that's what we were doing.
in Vermont, in Burlington, Vermont, which this is a fundraising event that I co-founded 28 years ago, and it's still going on. And we had such an amazing time sharing children's stories.
I know. I got to be a book stand.
He was holding the book while I was reading.
I got to be a book stand. It was just the height of my career.
And the book, it's a kid's book called If You're a Monster and You Know It. And so we got to, and it goes, by that song, if
you're a monster
happy
and you know it, stomp your, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're a monster and you know it, and,
snort
and growl. And we did all these, and it was so fun. The whole audience joined in, and we were just like being little kids in
5
4th
drag
grade.
queens singing "If You're a Monster and You Know It." Okay,
and with all the news going on in the world,
just like
I thought it was really fun. We just had such a great
performance artist.
Yeah, I just thought it was really, really fun, and we had a great time. And I wanted to share that with you. Just to let you know what we're up to, but also just there was a transitional and transformational moment in that experience. We were.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, we felt so connected. Like there was no question in my mind that Spirit was guiding me, and Glenn was right here with me, but there was no question in my mind that God was guiding me to do this drag story hour at this big, huge event. And it was incredible because there was no question about it, and there was no second guessing or am I doing this right, or people won't receive this.
It was so easy.
It was perfectly expressed, and I know that was Spirit. That was not me, because in my
hitches.
Ego self, I
Nothing.
would have created all kinds of anxiety and stuff.
No butterflies, not nervous.
Nothing.
Walking on there, everything's fine, just like it was like our living room or something.
Totally amazing.
Completely like nothing.
And then I shared my song Queero, which I've shared with you all before, but it has this chant to Kali at the beginning. And Kali, if you may or may not know, is the Hindu goddess who destroys everything to make way for something new to grow. And she's also a feminist icon in a lot of feminist circles.
Well, she's the destroyer that makes sure that the cycle keeps going on. She's fertility. She's like Ma.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey, glad you're here, Lisa.
So anyway, I was doing the song, and we were doing the chant and everything like that. And after we got off stage, an hour later, and I was taking claim for this, an hour later, the health department, people were performing on stage. An hour later, the health department came in and shut the building down because the sewage was backed up.
On the whole block.
On the whole block.
Just our block. Just the block where the
theater was. Yeah. So it was hilarious because my friend was on stage performing, and I was about to go back on stage to do another song, and here comes the health department, and they walk on stage, grab the mic, and say, "There's a problem with the sewage. We have to shut the building down now.
Party's over. Everybody go home." And everybody is so pissed, and everybody's running around with their head cut off. This whole thing is shut down, and we're like, going to bed leaving early? Oh, that's great. Let's go back to the hotel.
We were
we were like done. It was like, oh yeah, it's perfect. That makes perfect sense. We're kind of tired. We should go home. It was like,
it was truly amazing because
we were on board with all the crisis. We were like right on top of going. This is perfect. This is
not even a problem.
Not a problem.
It really did something within me and shifted in a place that I'm still experiencing where nothing is wrong.
I can be with it. I can be with it.
Wow.
I don't need, there's like this element of like change. I gotta, like wrap my, whatever around it and, understand it or wrestle it to
amazing.
Jordan and baptize it so it's okay.
That was really amazing. I just wanted to share that with you because something is turned where, certainly in my personal experience, I'm knowing more and more that nothing is wrong. So that's kind of really amazing for me.
Which made us think of this song.
Well, a lot of things made me think of this song. I like Shiva songs, and we have Sina, who also honors Shiva and Shakti, and so I'm gonna put the. I'm gonna put the words in the chat, and then I'm gonna finish.
Get hand in hand. You didn't get hand in hand.
Okay. And
There we go.
There we go. We're gonna put this in the chat. Okay. There we go. Okay. There we go. So if you want to sing along with us, it has the chords too. If you
play
have your
along
guitar.
too. Get out your guitar. You can play along. The chords are in the chat.
Yeah, it's in E minor. All right. So here we go. We loved Shiva songs, and right before we came into the room and started our program, Sina was playing a Shiva song by an artist. So this is my version of Jaya Shiva Shankara Boom Boom Hari Hari.
Ready to boom boom? Got your drums out?
So scoot over just a little bit, honey, so I can. Yeah, that way. Thank you. Here we go.
Edged out of the picture.
No, you're not. Good heavens. Okay, here we go.
I love this song, by the way.
Jaya Shiva Shankara Boom Boom Hare Hare. Jaya Shiva Shankara Boom Boom Hare Hare. Hare 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 Boom Boom Hare Hare. Hare 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 Boom Boom Hare Hare. Okay, you got it. It's real easy. We're gonna do it again. 1, 2, ready, and Jaya Shiva Shankara Boom Boom Hare Hare. Jaya Shiva Shankara Boom Boom Hare Hare. Hare 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 Boom Boom Hare Hare. Hare 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 Boom Boom Hare Hare. We are one in the Spirit. We are one in the love. We are one in the Spirit. We are one in the love. And we know that our unity can never be undone. We awaken together by our love. By our love, we awaken together by our love. We will walk with each other. We will walk hand in hand. We will walk with each other. We will walk hand in hand. And together we'll spread the news that love is in our land. We awaken together by our love. By our love, we awaken together by our love. Sing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. Love is in our land. Back to Jaya Shiva Shankara. Here we go. On 1, 2, ready, and Jaya Shiva Shankara Boom Boom Hare Hare. Jaya Shiva Shankara Boom Boom Hare Hare. Hare 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 Boom Boom Hare Hare. Hare 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 Boom Boom Hare Hare. One more time. Jaya Shiva Shankara Boom Boom Hare Hare. Jaya Shiva Shankara Boom 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 Hare Hare. Hare 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 Boom Boom Hare Hare. Hare 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 Boom Boom Hare Hare. Hare 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 Hare. Oh, thank you, Jacqueline.
Shiva's
Thanks, Lisa.
drum.
Thanks, Connie. Oh gosh. That's just fun to sing. It's fun to sing.
Creative.
And yeah, and I've been wanting to do We Are One in the Spirit for a while. Just had to think about how to sing it, you know. So let's do our little meditation moment and our lovely contemplation on the Radiant Sutras, which I can't wait for next Sunday when Sina will be doing her program on the Radiant Sutras, which is so much fun. Today's sutra, I'm still working with the banter verses, Sina. And today the verses are 17 through 19, banter verses. And I'm gonna read it, then I'm gonna sing it. It goes like this. Sacred texts sing of my reality, but I cannot be found in them. For I am the one listening. I am always closer than breath. Heat and fire are not two separate things. They are just verbal distinctions. The goddess and the one who holds her are one and the same. We are inseparable. The way to me is through her. Oh, I love this. I love this verse so much. This just really speaks to me. It really, really does. So I'm going to ring the bell and breathe and om, and then I'm going to sing the sacred text. So let's... Thank you. With great joy, we come together again in the Awakening Together Sanctuary to co-create this unconditional circle of love in which we all take part and help shape and co-create together. And as we know, this circle of unconditional love welcomes everything that we like and everything that we do not like, because we know that it is all one and the same, and that we attract it and bring it to us into our experience for our own growth and healing. We celebrate the unification of all things with this banter verses 17 through 19. Sacred text, sing of my reality, but I cannot be found in them, for I am the one listening. I am always closer than breath. Heat and fire are not two separate things. These are just verbal distinctions. The goddess and the one who holds her are one and the same. We are inseparable. The way to me is through her. Blessed be, and so it is. Yay. Thank you, my lovely friends. Oh,
This has been fun to do. We've had a lot of fun with the verses.
oh, like a lullaby, yeah. I love these. I think of these that way. That one especially for some reason.
Yeah. So we're
Thank
gonna have
you.
fun. Well, we have had fun going through those. Oh, you have to listen to this. You have to listen to this. We've gone over this a couple of times. It's been a whole lot of fun. But I know that since you're such good course students, that this time of year you're saying, "Oh, we're on chapter 6 now. Let's talk about chapter 6. You know, let's get on with. You know, I know you're impatient for the lesson, right?
We love the lesson.
It is. I'm totally serious.
Pretty.
It is. So this is the chapter. Oh, I was saying earlier that she introduces the commander too, and
Wait a second. We need a fanfare.
do you think so? Do we?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The commander. I know,
the commander.
And so. Just as if you 12.8 pages a week,
Right.
well, you will read the course, and 12.8 pages a week is about roughly how fast the course moves through the lessons in the course, kind of coincide together. And
Oh, the text,
yeah,
you
the
mean?
text and the lessons coincide together. And what we find is that this chapter 6. Let me scroll it a little bit.
Yeah.
Chapter 6. Chapter 6 is called the Lessons of Love. And if you do the numbers, 12.8 times the number of weeks that we're in, you'd come up to roughly section 5 of chapter 6. And chapter 6 is called the Lessons of Love. Now, I call this section the map, because she's going to tell you you have to choose a perspective on your life, to look at what is yours. You're going to be given all kinds of information from your learning device in this reality. You're going to be given all kinds of information. But what are you going to do with it? How are you going to process it? Whose words are you going to look to? Whose community? What decisions are you going to make? How are you going to make sense of all this information in your life? That's why we get educated. That's why we say, she was raised right. Or we say, he wasn't raised right. Or say, why weren't you? Right. So this is what is going on. So we've given all this information. We create who we are in culture, and we're a daughter, we're an accountant, we're whatever we are, mother. And we create these identities in order to move through the world, and we say that's us, right? So she's getting us to a place as, okay, is that, or like I've heard said in these circles, how's that working out for you?
Yeah.
So she goes, well, I want to the Course in Miracles, our inner Holy Spirit and guide, and she says, I want to introduce you to somebody that maybe that you don't pay a whole lot of attention to. It's called your commander, the one who's the executive decision about about where your attention's going all the time. Do you know you got one of those? You got a commander? Got a command center in all of this? We're going to talk about that tonight. But the commander function, the commander idea is fun for me because I grew up on military bases. My dad was a commander. That was his rank. Most of my childhood and adult meaningful sentient being as a self and a Glen, different from my mother and in the world, was my father being Commander Ganaway. So Course in Miracles says, oh, you have a commander. So the first thing that pops into my head is like, Commander Ganaway. There's this tiny little command. I have a little Commander Ganaway. It's a little Commander Ganaway inside my head, So I want to give you this image, I don't know, of Neil. See, the dress, each rank in the military has a different uniform. I'm sure that's not surprising to any of you, but there's several different uniforms. There's the summer uniform and a winter uniform, and there's a formal and an informal uniform for each one of those things, right? So at least six uniforms. The formal uniform for a commander is a white cutaway tuxedo with a gold cummerbund, right? So you look like the nerdiest prom guy ever. In white and gold. Whose prom colors are white and gold? Nobody would ever do that. Nobody would really ever do that. White and gold for prom colors?
Oh, that's not bad.
Oh, I don't know.
Why
This
that
is the military, but that's the military for you. So,
okay.
so I don't know what your prom colors were. I don't know what but can you picture yourself, your little mini me? Put this in your head. I want to give this image to you. A little mini me of yourself in a white tuxedo, a white cutaway tuxedo, as the commander of the one who decides about who goes,
who to pay attention to,
about who to pay attention, whose advice to get, right, and whose advice to believe. The commander, okay, a little mini me. Maybe I want to put that little image in your head.
So it's a decision maker. We have a decision maker.
Yes, but he's just moving the lever, right? He's moving the spotlight. He decides where the spotlight goes. He's not moving the spotlight. We are. Our decisions, but that's the metaphor she's going to give us. It's not my metaphor. It's imperfect as it is. So, chapter 6, the lessons of love. This is what she calls the only answer, because we're going to get involved, because the lessons of love is called the map. This is what we're going to be looking at whenever we're looking at deciding on what to do in the world. We're going on a journey in A Course in Miracles to discover what it is ours to do in the world and who we are. That's the journey we make every year in A Course in Miracles. And chapter 6 is the map in which we say, okay, what does this territory look like in this spiritual territory of my mind and the world and the interaction of what is real and not real? What does that map look like? And she says, well, to look at the map correctly, you need to first introduce you to the commander, and then we're going to introduce you to the process, the steps of the phases of awakening next week. Next week is the phases of awakening in which we talk about this map of where we find ourselves in different areas of our life. We're going to find ourselves in good places and in scary places and in new places, in different areas and different functions in our map. And it's always a part of this awakening process. So if you can locate yourself on the awakening process, you can lean into what the next step is. Right? And that makes this spiral of healing. That's what we're going to do next week. That's why this map is so important. But to get to that lesson, she says, you need to develop your decision-making ability about what you're willing to tolerate and put, where your attention needs to go. So put on your cutaway white tuxedo and let's see about learning how to make good decisions. Go to commander training school. Maybe. So read this little bit.
Okay, so we're in chapter 6, the lessons
right.
of love.
We have 27 minutes to get through it.
Section 5.
Yep.
Called the only answer. Okay, here we go. Remember that the Holy Spirit is the answer, not the question. The ego always speaks first. It believes, and correctly, that its maker may withdraw his support from it at any moment. That's the ego's fear, right? The ego does not regard itself as part of you. Herein lies its primary error, the foundation of its whole thought system.
Okay, she's gonna go. This is kind of a review, so you understand where in the context that she's going to begin speaking to us about. So the answer to any question is what?
Reality. The moment.
Is the Holy Spirit. Is this oneness. Is this what I call togetherness. Okay. And she just reminds us of the qualities of the ego's thought system. Just so you recognize them. She's not demonizing anything. She goes, do you recognize it? The ego speaks first. Okay, these are the rules. The ego speaks first. It knows that we made it because it knows that its fate's tied with ours. Right? And still insists that it's not a part of it. You know why? Because it says things like, you're such a jerk. And you think that they think this about you and you're never going to you, right? Which is a fundamental error. Back to see reason number 2. I know that my existence is tied up with yours. It makes no sense, and it's not an actual living thing. It's a flawed thought system. Okay,
right.
So it's just a flawed thought system. It doesn't have meaning. It doesn't have agency or anything.
This is one of the shifts that has happened to me. I've begun to understand that the ego is a is a collection of thoughts that I keep rehearsing.
Yeah, like I always say, and you can hear me say, the ego doesn't know; it just repeats.
Right. Wow. Very funny.
So, and she offers you a reminder, and it's the antidote. The reminder is that in the contrast to the ego and this thought system that's fundamentally insane, is that the Holy Spirit is bringing you home. She uses the word home. Home is bringing you home. And that is what it's like psychologically still she's working with our sense of, I'm not feeling okay, I'm not feeling at home, I'm not comfortable. She's still working with us. And she's actually using that feeling of this isn't right, I'm not whatever, to our advantage. And she's saying there is a guide, this commander will help you choose and remember what's going on here. So let's continue.
When God created you, he made you part of him. That is why attack within the kingdom is impossible. You made the ego without love, and so it does not love you. The ego then raised the first question that was ever asked, but one it can never answer. That question, what are you, was the beginning of doubt. The ego has never answered any question since. Although it has raised a great many. And then the ego is afraid of you.
I know. What are you?
Funny.
Have you ever heard that? You ever heard your mind say that? What are you? What are you? Is that a funny question? It's like walking down this like where? That's just I think it's fascinating. It's very, so what are you? So answer is in the first sentence. What? Your God created us. God is the creator. So what would God be able to create but more of itself, or itself, not even more, created within itself. So what created us? Wholeness, togetherness. So no attack is possible among living beings because there aren't two beings.
Right.
There's just like, ugh. It's, that's a good place to be in, because we're a means we can all be potentially working together for the fruition of, heaven and Eden here on earth in this beautiful place we live in. And she says that's happening if we'll pay attention to it. There's a cooperation that the Holy Spirit that is managing. It is managed because it's real. It's already happening. And what I affectionately call the secret underground miracle worker network. Right.
Tell us what that is.
The secret miracle worker network. It means that everybody's working together for your good, and at all times, right. the world is supporting the most generous, necessary thing for your awakening at any moment. The secret underground miracle worker network, because it doesn't always look like everybody's participating.
Right.
Okay, which leads us to understanding where we're not doing it often is the best place to start. That's where she starts and saying, do you see where you're doing this? So we see the miscreation and what we've earlier talked about as the dangerous mind or the dreaming mind. We're not at fault. We're in this culture that does this. As it's a thought system that we call the ego. It's not the anything. It's a thought system. It's a collection of rules that don't make any sense that serve to operate and pull creative energy from us to power over situations in which we're not the ones with the power. It operates in the past or the future. Doesn't operate in the present. It can't operate in the present, right? Because it's not real. So if we can, so what's the answer? Get present, because the ego can't go there. That's why it's a secret underground miracle worker network, because the world can't go there. The reminder is, the ego is going to be, you're going to be distracted with the concern for non-essentials, right? Distractions. I ordered the blue fish, not the white fish. And it creates incentive activities so that we don't withdraw attention. Incentive activities. So activities that we think are going to solve the problem. We solve the problem in the material world, Or we say, if I got a boyfriend, or I got a better job, or I got more zeros or more commas in my bank account, that things would naturally be different. That would mean things are different and better. It's incentive activities that don't withdraw, so that we don't withdraw our creative attention from being the child of God and looking within and finding what is ours to do.
Could you say that again? Because I think you're meaning inventive activities or creative activity. We're making activities
We're
to
creating,
distract us.
yes.
Okay.
We're using our creativity
to create.
We're using our creativity in inventive ways to distract us from using our creative attention with God or with the wholeness in participation with the world.
Okay,
we're taking attention, misusing attention. Why it's a miscreative mind or a dangerous mind.
Right.
The part of our mind that is dreaming and miscreating.
Right. Okay. So the Course refers to that activity as making something.
Making.
And then the
creating.
Versus creating. Which is the real.
Yeah, which is participating in reality.
In reality. Okay.
Which is creating and participating in what is real.
Yeah.
Love, joy, peace, knowledge, beauty. These things that don't go away and don't require and aren't a concept.
Right.
And that she says something very good. She goes, the ego is afraid. Well, of course it is. It is fear. It's the thing that's looking for something, an activity that's in order to keep us safe. And if we're safe, it doesn't have a job. Do you understand?
Right.
If we're
safe, yeah.
Finally decides that we're safe, it doesn't have a real function or a job or anything like that. It's not going to do that. It never runs out of things to be afraid of.
Right. Because the ego is...
Or things for you to fix.
Right.
Or things in which you're wrong for or whatever.
Right.
Let me get the last bit of this.
Okay.
So the method is to create doubt and distract us with something to do or something to change instead of this inward thing. So we can see that. So go up. So continue.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, hey, George. How you doing?
Yay. Hey, George. Glad you're here.
Yay. Okay.
We're talking about the commander.
All right. So the next thing goes like this. You cannot understand the conflict until you fully understand the basic fact that the ego cannot know anything. The Holy Spirit does not speak first, but he always answers. Everyone has the answer now.
This is what we were just talking. The answer is in the now. It's in the Holy Spirit. It's in heaven. It's in this. It's in now. It's in this miracle. And the ego thought system, it doesn't know, like I said. It just repeats. It's a thought system. It doesn't have agency or a life, or it's not corporeal, or it doesn't exist from one minute to the next. It doesn't have existence. And we have answered. When something is going on, that we have been answered. The answer is, come to me and let's take a look at it correctly. Where do we experience that knowing? The question is, where do we know that feeling? Where do we know? Oh, I can. That's where she said, make that a touchstone. That's where you'll find the commander. Keep reading.
Oh, and so that's all in the now is what you're getting to. Okay. It cannot hear the Holy Spirit, but it does believe that part of the mind that made it is against it. Perceiving something alien to itself in your mind, the ego turns to the body as its ally because the body is not part of you. If you side with this alliance, you will be afraid because you are siding with an alliance of fear. The ego, which is not real, attempts to persuade the mind, which is real, that the mind is the ego's learning device, and further, that the body is more real than the mind is. No one in his right mind could possibly believe this, and no one in his right mind does believe this.
But we do.
Well, what she's pointing out is the difference between what she says here in the right thinking mind and the quote unquote wrong thinking mind.
Which is why the commander is important.
Right.
Because being able to look into different worlds is what the deal is. So the mind, so this is the map. Right, the mind, ego, and body relationship, and she says there are three types of relationships. In the way she's getting to look at this, she will break up more later, but there are basically three kinds of relationships she talks about in this. There's allies, brothers, and enemies. Allies, brothers, and enemies. Allies are the mind, the body, and reality. Your mind and reality are in the cosmology of A Course in Miracles, the way she's talking to us right now. The mind and the body, because the body is your learning device. It doesn't care what's going on. It gives you information. You judge it and everything like that. It can give you the real information. It doesn't know what's going on. It gives you, it's the learning device. So your mind, the body, and reality are all allies. Don't have to be, but they are allies. And brothers are all living beings. That's everything that's alive, and the thing that you're connected with, the togetherness, the oneness, the thing that you can count on, your identity, us, the brothers, we're the brothers. And enemies, well, if you find yourself with enemies, in a world of enemies, you know what you are? You're in the ego, right? Because the ego is the enemies with all things. It's enemies with all things, and it'll make a short-term ally if you get it one place to another, like the scorpion and the frog. You know, but if you've realized that you've got enemies, you're now in the world of the ego. And the best friend of the ego is the body. Not by the body's volition, but by the thought systems, by the egos and this thought and the way this works. So it uses the body as a distraction. The ego's attempt to speak for the body. It doesn't speak for the body. It doesn't say what the body's for, but what's the body's going on. The body will tell you, and that's another total lesson that she goes into later. She goes, can you be present with the information that you're giving without the filter of your ego involved? So the body is a distraction. The ego attempts to speak for it and use it as a cause of fear in our experience of the body. It scares us to be in the body. It scares us about what's going to happen to the body. It uses the body as a distraction. And it uses the thought system as a protection for the body and a protection for its condition and all this other stuff. But that's only so the ego can have more to do and have more power. It doesn't even speak for the ego, and it's not even doing the things that it says it's doing by making your body healthy and all this other stuff. Because it changes its mind all the time. Because it's a capricious thought system designed to keep you distracted. It's on and on and on. I don't have to finish that sentence. The body is the main way in which the ego distracts us from what is ours to do. It keeps our mind busy. And so the reminder here, the qualities of the ego's thought system is that it speaks first. It knows who made it. It knows that its legacy is tied to our existence. It says it's not a part of you, which makes it complete insane, and that the Holy Spirit is trying to bring us home. And the method here is, she says, of role, and the method that the ego uses is role reversal. It says the mind is not real. I'm more real than the mind is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
I know.
That's pretty
So
wild.
that's wild, isn't it?
Hold on. There's something in the chat. Oh, hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, here we go.
So keep going.
Here then, the one answer of the Holy Spirit to all the questions the ego raises. You are a child of God. That's the answer. A priceless part of his kingdom, which he created as part of him. Nothing else exists, and only this is real. You have chosen a sleep in which you have had bad dreams. But the sleep is not real, and God calls you to awake.
There you go.
In the kingdom where you are and what you are is perfectly certain. Being alone lives in the kingdom. Oh, right. This is a tricky sentence. Okay, capital B, being lives in the kingdom. Being alone lives in the kingdom, where everything lives in God without question.
Yeah.
The time spent on questioning in the dream has given way to creation and to its eternity.
That's why I talked about your creative energy. See, the one answer is what's true, right? Because that's presence. Presence. What are we trying to do? Be the presence of love in the world today. And we're blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So what are we doing? We are love's presence. What are we blocking our love with? By turning part of our attention on stuff that doesn't work and doesn't real. She goes, well, because don't worry about it. You're trying to make yourself better and make yourself good and trying to fit in and trying to, make everything okay and trying to be protected and safe and all this other stuff. Totally get that, but you're a child of God. And you're priceless. And you're part of God herself. In fact, I can't have existence without you. So, can you lean in? Can we lean into any of that? That's why I always say, the presence is difficult because it's difficult to be so friggin' glorious. Right?
We are glorious.
She calls you, your inner radiance wants to manifest into the world. That was a couple of chapters back. Inner radiance. That we don't accept. And she goes, there's a job, there's an ability that I need you to do, that we need you to do in the world, that if you completely understand it, you would think it was impossible. She says, she uses the word, the thing I have and who I have for you to be in the world is incredible. Your mind can't comprehend it. I'll take that.
Wow.
Continue. Go ahead.
Abilities are potentials, not accomplishments. Accomplishments are results that have been achieved.
Yay.
When they are perfect, abilities are meaningless.
Well, well, well.
Abilities must be developed before you can use them.
True.
This is not true of anything that God created, but it is the kindest solution possible for what you have made.
Oh, no. That's so kind.
But you have no commander except yourself.
Dun, da, da, da.
This leaves you in charge of the kingdom,
Dun, da, da, da.
with both a guide to find it and a means to keep it.
No, you've got staff. You have staff. I'm telling you. There's people who want to help you. The entire world is lining up to say, what can we do for you, darling?
Well, and that is in fact the case. Like, I mean, even if we don't see it that way, like all the things that happened, like when we were at the club and the sewage went out and we had to shut the club and
what a blessing.
Shut the party down. Yeah, we looked at that as a blessing, and everybody else was looking at it as something horrible and that this was awful and everything. And we were, with no effort, looked at that event as a blessing. It was really, really cool.
Okay, so this is why, the reason all this is to distract us and to move our creative attention away from the allness and the oneness, to join completely. And so it's the use of our creative attention because we have undeveloped abilities. And so we look to the world to say, how am I going to do this? What are we going to do when the guide, our inner knowing, does? We can rely on. It doesn't mean that there isn't people in the world that are going to help us, but we don't need the direction comes from an interior place, not an exterior place.
Yes.
So this is about developing abilities. They are results oriented. Did you hear that? They are results oriented, which means we do means and ends are matching. Remember that from a couple of chapters ago? Matching means and ends. We don't say that things are going to look a certain way in the future. We do what is right today because we know that creates what we want to have in the future. Yeah. We are results oriented. You cannot build a peaceful society with a violent means to get there. Right? So developing the abilities means we cease becoming results oriented and begin to become means oriented, which again focuses back into being in this present moment, currently using our creative energy in healthy ways. But she says what we're using them for right now is to creatively get in and out of messes.
Okay.
The misuse of our creative energy is we get into these big messes and we use our creative energy to get out of these messes. And so the commander is the answer. Get to know the commander. The commander is yourself. The commander is the one who's in charge of the kingdom. The one who is the central character, believe it or not, of our enslavement and our victimhood. That's the other side of the coin. That's why eventually you're going to give this whole function of the commander over to the Holy Spirit. But right now we have to take ownership of, I'm the one deciding. And a lot of the times we're one still deciding, right? So the guide comes in and helps us develop our own abilities that we have, that we think the world can only do and can't come from much, which is why we turn away from the moment and our own glorious presence, and we turn to the world. The Holy Spirit is saying, look, we're both interested. We can work with developing your abilities. The guide says, develops our abilities so that we can get the results that we want, be in service to reality. And it says it knows where the kingdom can be found. It knows where this, how we're going to become present. Where each of us do this in a specific kind of feeling tone, kind of individual way. We all have to learn how each of us do that themselves. And that's where the guide comes in. I can't pull you into the moment as much as I'd like to. I can't be pulled into the moment as much as I'd like you to be able to. You've got to do that. And the Holy Spirit and this sense of presence is the way that she says that happens for us. Because it knows where the kingdom is to be found now. And we can develop that skill. And the first skill we want to develop is the decision-making ability to keep turning to our guide that knows the way home.
Okay, so I'm a little confused between your use of the word commander and guide. So what's the difference between the commander and the guide?
Commanders are executive function. The guide is the right mind.
Oh, okay. So the commander is where you place your attention. Is that right?
No, it's the one who's moving the lever. It's the one who's in charge of making the decision about whether our spotlight attention is moved toward the world solving our problems or Holy Spirit or our inner world reality solving the problem.
Right, that's what I mean. So the commander is the one who places the attention somewhere. Yeah?
Is directing where the attention, yes.
Right, okay. So then the guide is what in that scenario?
Holy Spirit, right mind.
Okay, great. I just wanted to be clear about that. Okay, so you are in an impossible situation only because you think it is possible to be in one. I love this. You would be in an impossible situation if God showed you your perfection and proved to you that you were wrong. God, who knows that his creations are perfect, does not affront them.
I know.
This would be as impossible as the ego's notion that it has affronted him. That is why the Holy Spirit never commands. To command is to assume inequality, which the Holy Spirit demonstrates does not exist. If he confronted the self you made with the truth he created for you, what could you be but afraid? You would doubt your right mind, which is the only place where you can find the sanity he gave you.
This is very starkly, very put. I'm sure the Holy. This is about the power of these choices we were made. Why developing this commander function is so important, because the Holy Spirit does know, and the ego cannot. It's not like it doesn't have the skills. It cannot, because it's not alive. It's not creative. It cannot know.
The ego cannot.
The ego cannot know. Mm-hmm. The Holy Spirit will never command you, will never sweep in and take over your will. Okay. It's like, this is my body now, damn it. Mm-hmm. Like some evil possession or something. It's not, it will, however, try to convince you and compel you and show you and live with you. And the Holy Spirit will never cause you to doubt your right mind, but the ego certainly will.
So we're really at the end of the program. So we're gonna just read this last paragraph here. God does not teach. To teach is to imply a lack, which God knows is not there. God is not conflicted. Teaching aims at change, but God created only the changeless. The separation was not a loss of perfection, but a failure in communication. A harsh and strident form of communication arose as the ego's voice. It could not shatter the peace of God, but it could shatter yours. God did not blot it out, because to eradicate it would be to attack it. Being questioned, he did not question. He merely gave the answer. His answer is your teacher.
And it lists the commander to turn the attention to the teacher. I'm Glen Ganaway.
Teno Brahma Prajodaya Teno Brahma Prajodaya. You are what your driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny.
I'm Glen Ganaway, your favorite anarchist preacher. Thank you for joining us for the Mighty Companions Hour. This is Reverend Yolanda, the love of my life.
And thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you all evening.